The Sound of Freedom glorifies rescue missions, disregarding decades of research and experience, showing that international sting operations are dangerous, sometimes illegal, and often unethical, and fail to dismantle or discourage human trafficking. While rescues and raids make an action-packed movie, they are far from the preferred response to any kind of human trafficking. Did you do something illegal or unethical?
No.
Hi, welcome back to Whose Crime Is It Anyway, where the spirit of discernment don't matter, and the fact that a Mormon apostle gave the tithing information to Tim Ballard for fundraising, in which he was able to sexually exploit women, and the fact of that being true doesn't matter. The first game we have to play today is called Party Guests. So Tim Ballard, Sean Reyes, OUR CEO Matt Osborne, they are going to act like they are saving kids from sex slavery. And they're going to fly to foreign countries and sexually exploit women with donor money and cover it up through the Attorney General's office with suggestions that they pull out of their ass. So I need some suggestions from the audience, suggestions of a church that has no moral credibility. No credibility at all. Okay. All right. A lot of you said Mormon church all at once. Okay. All right, Mormon. All right, fine. All right, I like that one anyway. We'll do Mormon. We'll do the Mormon church is insanely corrupt. Ho down. All right. Take it away, me. I went to pay my tithing, that's 10% to the Lord. I gave the rest to Tim Ballard, all I could afford. I thought he was saving kids, now I really like back that dough. Welcome to the Mormon History Hoedown, sometimes called the Tim Ballard Chit Show. Tim Ballard Chit Show. A new amendment on the complaint for Tim Ballard and OUR has just come out. And when I saw that John DeLynn just earlier tonight talked about it in a live stream, and I said, oh, hot goss. I said, a new allegation. Surely this cannot be any more interesting than the ones previous.
Okay, folks, show's over. Nothing to see here. Oh my God, a horrible plane crash. Hey, everybody, get a load of this flaming wreckage. Come on, crowd around. Don't be shy.
I wish I could take us back to a simpler time, when the worst thing that Tim Ballard did was be mildly adjacent in the rescue of children and women in trafficking and profit off of filming the rescues for the love of the game. Well, I got some breaking news for you today. You may remember the lawsuit that came forward from Tim Ballard's alleged victims, I think 7 women, 1 married couple, going into great explicit detail about many a things, doing ketamine to get visions because he believed that he was going to be the next Mormon prophet and president of the United States.
Nigga, what you doing out here with all this ass? Double cheeked up on a Thursday afternoon, hella ass, the sun is still up.
You know, simple, humble, man of God kind of stuff. What a ruse, what a ruse. You're only going after Tim Ballard because you hate him saving kids. You hate him saving poor kids who need bread. He's giving them bread. He loves giving poor people bread. Not just a lawsuit is going on right now with these allegations. Surely some criminal charges will be brought forward for the Utah Attorney General's office. Wouldn't be the first time. Utah, the third Attorney General in Utah recently to have a scandal or be convicted. 3 strikes you're out. 3 strikes you're out in baseball and its adjacent base-related sports.
You had me fooled. Death to all of them.
So under the factual allegations section of the lawsuit, which I would also like to entitle Things You Definitely Could Have Guessed, but let us just confirm for you. And one fun thing that you won't read over here, but I will be the first to inform you, I would love to just let you know I have an informant and I have some amazing connections to the inside of this case and the corruption that is going down. And over the next couple months, I'll be releasing some documentaries on the subject. If you're like, where you been for a while, Kara? Did you like make no money on October because you took off 2 weeks to make a documentary on Tim Ballard? Yes, I did. And it's going to be life-changing. Thank you very much. And his belief in this thing many Mormons like Tim Ballard believe grants them miracles called the American Covenant. And this other thing Tim believes liberates kids called doing ketamine and getting blown. A closely guarded, highly unsuccessful tactic Tim only revealed to his most trusted, attractive hairstylists. In addition to hoodwinking women way out of his league, Tim was, as the Mormon Church uncovered, a man with morally unacceptable behavior who deceitfully leveraged his church connections for financial and sexually exploitive gain, which put him at the center of what Davis County investigators and 7 alleged victims call a crime. You're about to hear from insiders how the Operation Underground Railroad deception fooled donors, exploited trafficked children, lied to Sound of Freedom audiences, endangered and abused its undercover operatives, and worse but very predictably, did it all in the name of the Mormon God. But one of the major things that it has been revealed to me is the triangulation, the interconnectedness between Paul Hutchinson, former OUR backer and operative, who's gone on 70 to 100 missions, the kind of that we're going to get into here, that Sean Reyes, Tim Ballard, and Paul Hutchinson,
losers, in other words,
all interconnected and reliant on each other to keep a lot of this entire corruption going. So let's subscribe to this channel. Let's be honest with our feelings that we want to know what else Nuanso has to say on this. And one of those things that I can tell you right now is that it has been made explicitly clear to me that these men that we're talking about here, Paul Hutchinson, Sean Reyes, Tim Ballard, the CEO, Matt Osborne, Glenn Beck, conservative talk show host, they are all Mormon, except for Paul Hutchinson was excommunicated. He doesn't want to talk about it. It's a sensitive subject. Everyone else, Mormon in name, in action, they're all polite Mormon men. They're not just going to leave the line of cocaine on the ass cheeks of an escort. You're going to sniff that up. Attorney generals are known to, clean stuff up. Sean Reyes, though, the most corrupt politician that I have ever seen in Utah politics.
Burns, this is a big problem. You just can't throw money at it and make it go away.
Gentlemen, I've decided there will be no investigation now. If you excuse me, I'll go away.
So like I said, this is an amendment to that original lawsuit of the 7 women that details about the ketamine and the psychics and M. Russell Ballard saying, A-okay with me, bro. The different stories from all the women as exhibits at the bottom. And Tim Ballard still maintaining that I'm like the only one who cares about the kids. Does anyone even care about the kids like I do? You guys are not even taking this seriously. Am I the only one drunk and high on pills at this strip club trying to practice my chemistry here? You guys are not even taking these lap dances seriously. So 46 says, one of Ballard's closest friends is Utah Attorney General Sean Reyes, with Reyes promoting Ballard until just recently to be the next United States Senator from the state of Utah. Hugging it out like bros do when they cover up for each other's sex crime. Thanks so much, cowboy. All right, 47, according to General Reyes' webpage, Reyes is the top law enforcement official in Utah charged with protecting consumers from those who abuse the law. Hey, let me tell the jokes. Again, providing credibility to Ballard and OUR that was not warranted. This is where the can of worms just explodes. General Reyes has repeatedly vouched for OUR and Tim Ballard, even participating in alleged ops in Colombia, which was well publicized in Utah, giving Ballard the cover of the top law enforcement officer in the state of Utah. The top law enforcement officer in the state of Utah having that endorsement.
Wait a damn minute. Wait a damn.
On top of just being a white Mormon guy, yeah, you're gonna be moved up to second coming of Christ Messiah. You do what? You save kids? How many kids have you saved? You've saved 7,000 kids. My church is more true now because you're in it and you save kids. And my Utah Attorney General, he knows what crimes are. And you solve crimes with him. You're a solving crime righteous man. I'll meet you at Temple Square. Top law enforcement officer in the state of Utah to carry out his purposes, including the couple's ruse. Even while consumer complaints and criminal investigations were coming into his office regarding the improprieties of OUR and Ballard.
Don't be suspicious. Don't be suspicious. Don't be suspicious. Don't be suspicious.
It just seems to me like if we let this corrupt politician slide, all of the other ones are going to be like, I just hope that the buck stops here and this is the third and final corrupt Utah Attorney General. I just can't take any more heartbreak. 50. Complaints of fraud and sex abuse by OUR and Tim Ballard were coming into the Attorney General's office, and it was determined that the Davis County Attorney's Office would conduct a criminal investigation of Tim Ballard and OUR, as the Attorney General of the state of Utah had a conflict of interest because of his involvement and support of Tim Ballard and OUR. Makes sense.
Health inspection season.
Oh, yeah, right. Health inspection. That reminds me. Your change, sir. We're working on that roach situation, I swear to God.
All right, well, this photo hurts my eyes, and I'm having a conflict of interest trying to look at it for too long. 51. OUR began claiming credit on its webpage and blog posts for work that other organizations were performing. See Exhibit G. Pin in that. When these organizations started criticizing OUR on social media for its fraudulent hijacking of plaintiff organizations' work, OUR and Tim Ballard began attacking them. All right, here we go. 55. Upon learning of these complaints, Attorney General Reyes would step in and, rather than investigate what OUR and Tim Ballard were doing, would intimidate the complainants. Some of these complainants became very nervous, which anxiety was justified as both plaintiff and Troy Rollins were threatened with a lawsuit by OUR and Tim Ballard, and OUR and Tim Ballard hired a law firm in San Francisco to sue Troy Rollins. Yeah, have we got an ego problem yet? This seems just so in line with this baby man-child. At the same time, others who had made complaints against OUR and Tim Ballard, critical and highly credible witnesses, began withdrawing their complaints based upon fear of retribution by OUR and Tim Ballard, thus impeding the Davis County investigation.
So I said to him, look, buddy, your car was upside down when we got here. And as for your grandma, she shouldn't have mouthed off like that.
Dad, don't you see you're abusing your power like all vigilantes? I mean, if you're the police, who will police the police?
Oh, Coast Guard.
So that is something that is a new huge revelation, because for a long time, the case wasn't closed, and after a case is closed, things are open to public record and we can be able to access these things. And some investigative journalists have dug into that. OUR specifically has asked that certain documents remain sealed and not open to the public. But as we can see from this allegation, that the reason why the case from Davis County was in limbo for so long is exactly the same thing that these 7 or more women making allegations of sexual harassment and spiritual manipulation are making against Tim Ballard that he's denied from the very beginning. And it all falls in line with this pattern that things that are critical and highly credible witnesses have been snuffed out from the top down of the Attorney General's office of Utah. Are we kidding me here? So no wonder So no wonder the investigation was not able to continue as it should have. The Davis County investigation revealed that OUR and Tim Ballard were aware that allegations were being made, that Ballard failed his CIA polygraph test, was an unpaid intern at the CIA, and was fired from the CIA. Everything about Tim's crazy is just wanting to be an alpha so bad and putting forth these narratives about all the badass stuff that he's done. And one of them being like, yep, worked for the CIA, went over to Homeland Security. But it's always been kind of rumored. It's like, weren't you just interning and pushing paper? It's not like you were a CIA agent. And even his stories about working at Homeland Security that supposedly are the true stories behind the movie The Sound of Freedom. every single part of his story has unraveled.
This guy, Pat, he has books behind him. They actually have footage of everything that happened of Tim Ballard because it happened.
Every single part of it, of what he has actually done to save kids. And then when you take into account how many people who are actually in law enforcement who don't even people who actually work in sex trafficking, who actually understand undercover work. So many reports that I've read of people being like, yeah, I never heard of the guy. Like people who actually take this work seriously. Tim Ballard, never heard of the guy. No, next time you're in a foreign city, check out the massage parlor or the escort service, and maybe he's hanging out there. So it's been widely established that people who have like competing alpha male energy with Tim Ballard, people who actually know what they're doing, as these women have also alleged in this lawsuit, that he doesn't like to be told what to do. And you know who likes to follow the law and implement certain practices that will heed the best results? People who actually know what they're doing in law enforcement. And so it all comes down to Tim trying to prop up himself that he knows what he's doing because of this background in the CIA and Homeland Security without having substantial evidence of the children, the 7,000 women and children that he has claimed to rescue or rehabilitate. No evidence for any of this. Everything is just story and narrative making for Tim Ballard to become highly profitable off of. 59, OUR and Tim Ballard were aware that 8 different women had complained to Davis County investigation that Ballard had engaged in sexual affairs with them. Holy crap. OUR and Tim Ballard were aware that the Davis County attorney believed that Catherine Ballard had tampered with witnesses to impede them from cooperation with the Davis County investigation. Catherine Ballard.
She looks like every other bitch.
There's no way that I always believed that there was no way that his wife was like completely in the shadows and blind to all of these misgivings. Troy Rollins also believes that General Reyes was guilty of witness tampering. Rollins alleged to have written communications from AG Reyes to a witness requesting the witness not to cooperate with Rollins in the investigations. Written communications. Definitely is witness tampering to me. So Troy Rollins, he's trying to investigate stuff. Let me do my job here. People are complaining. Stay away from this, Sean Reyes. You're not to be trusted. Conflict of interest much? But Troy Rollins says that alleged to have written communications from Attorney General Sean Reyes to a witness. Sean Reyes is over there tippity typing on his computer. Do not talk to anyone. I'm intimidating you. So you go away and be quiet. You stupid dumb slut. Something to that effect, I'm guessing. Requesting the witness not to cooperate with Rollins in the investigation. Or what? What are you going to do, Attorney General? What? Oh, it's your job as the Attorney General, as like the highest ranking officer in the state, that you can literally do anything because that's your job. Okay, I'll shut up then. The things that I will have coming out in the next few months of the ways that Sean Reyes has abused his political office is the understatement of the century.
Your internet ad was brought to my attention, but I can't figure out what, if anything, Compia Global Hyper Meganet does. So rather than risk competing with you, I've decided simply to buy you out.
I reluctantly accept your proposal.
Well, everyone always does. Buy 'em out, boys!
Hey, what the hell's going on?
Oh, I didn't get rich by writing a lot of checks.
OUR went to its de facto general counsel, Sean Reyes, and asked that a special prosecutor be appointed to prosecute Troy Rollins. That is some real alpha energy, just assertive. Really way to go there, Tim. Definitely not a bitch ass move. Troy Rollins went to Attorney General Sean Reyes and informed him of OUR's threat to sue him, which General Reyes immediately informed Tim Ballard and OUR of Troy Rollins' concern and deemed Mr. Rollins' statement as false. Even as more fraud complaints came into General Reyes, he would immediately send them to Tim Ballard on his personal email instead of his official Utah email, bitchassbetacuck@gmail.com. That's what it says in the document, guys. I don't make this stuff up. At this time, Tim Ballard was ignoring his in-house counsel's advice that what he was doing was illegal and unethical and could subject him to criminal liability from the Davis County investigation. and the Department of Justice. I'm assuming Tim Ballard's like, what part of my ketamine trips to communicate with dead prophets who told me I can do whatever I want because I'm going to be the next leader of the Mormon Church and president of the United States, did you guys not understand? When all this is just criticism for you, Tim Ballard, breaking the law and abusing people, intimidating people, and misusing donor money. But that's where like this ego and God complex, savior complex goes in, where Tim Ballard's like, what don't you understand? I'm called by God. I am saving kids. Do not question either of those two premises. Questioning either of those two premises result in you being labeled a sex trafficker. Ballard claims to be blessed by Tom Harrison, both while Tom was alive and through Spear President Ken Krogh, claiming to anoint Ballard as a chosen one. Holy crap. Not subject to the jurisdiction of government and church authorities.
Once we collect enough money for fuel, our leader will throw open the doors of the Forbidden Barn, where we will all board our intergalactic vehicle, rows 1 through 31st. Upon our arrival, we will begin our new perfect lives on Blistonia, well known for its high levels of bliss.
Tom Harrison, who is famous for this book, Visions of Glory, and has a lot of interconnected schemes with other people in the Mormon space who have committed horrendous crimes. Mormon Stories had a lot of great other episodes about this as well. 68, Ballard has been, until recently, business associates and close friends with Apostle and acting president of the Quorum of the 12 Apostles, M. Russell Ballard of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And again, there's been a wholesale denial from the church that they ever had anything to do with supporting OUR or Tim Ballard's business ventures. But that's an absolutely just confirmed outright lie that the church has to know that like the stuff was going to come out. Like President Ballard has cited Tim Ballard to students at Brigham Young University, Idaho, as an expert of Book of Mormon, Prophet Nephi, and the Mormon view of American history. That's one of the main topics of my documentary coming out about the American Covenant. It is one of the craziest things to understand. Glenn Beck, M. Russell Ballard, they all bought into this vision where Tim Ballard was able to completely renegotiate history, American history, to fit it within the Book of Mormon and say, covenant land Israel, yes. What about covenant land United States of America? Also, yes. All right, here we go. 71, the Davis County investigation, according to OUR's own internal documents. This is a big one. Hey, can we see the documents that are internal to your organization? I guess if we have to. We don't want to because it's going to reveal that Elder M. Russell Ballard and other authorities from the Mormon Church, other authorities, more than one, it's not just one senile old man, provided Mormon tithing records to OUR to help OUR target wealthy donors and wealthy Mormon Church wards.
No, I don't think you understand. I'm obsessed.
And that is huge. As somebody personally who I used to work for a very conservative nonprofit, that would have been the Holy Grail. That would have been everything. If you want to rewind to just a few months ago to the SEC scandal and the church kind of being outed that it wasn't following the law and having so much money in these different shell corporations so that it could hide its wealth, and then people kind of revealing that the church it's got over $100 billion that it just stockpiles for a rainy day fund when Jesus Christ comes to reign fire upon the entire earth. But you gotta get serious here. Knowing that if I take you on that premise that your sacred donations for, I'm assuming the money you worked very hard for, that just that faith, that interaction of paying that would be taken advantage of by the church leaders. And then this is crazy. 75, despite the very public distancing recently of the Mormon Church from Tim Ballard, the Mormon Church continues to promote OUR. For example, on October 15th, 2023, OUR President Defendant Osborne, named in this case as knowing where all these bodies are buried, knowing where all the shit goes down, gave a fireside on grooming tactics, extortion schemes, and other matters. Was he using himself as an example? Was he like, Let me show you my grooming tactics. Let me show you my extortion schemes. Was he like opening up his closet and saying, hey, kids, have at it? Like how morally bankrupt do you literally have to be to Matt Osborne to know that you were involved in like the couple's ruse and that you helped hide all of this? Like how morally bankrupt do you have to be as a person to think that you can lead this organization that is trying to stop sexual exploitation of women and children, that you are the person who can lead that?
I would like to see it.
While at the same time involving yourself in the couple's ruse, silencing all of these women who have come forward. It feels like just, where are the adults here? Can we please speak to the adults who have access to all of this money? Because this just reminds me of like my 3-year-old son holding a seminar, Boss Baby style or something, of just like how to not shit your diaper anymore. And it's like, didn't you shit on the floor today? And it's like, Callahan, why are you the authority on how to teach all these other toddlers on how to go pee pee and poo poo in the potty? When I see a steaming pile of shit here on the floor, whose is that? You got to do the necessary steps first before you teach other people how to do it. Here's the advertisement for Matt Osborne's Fireside Devotional for the youth. Internet safety, grooming tactics, extortion schemes.
That's suspicious. That's weird.
Tim Ballard became friends with Glenn Beck, an American conservative political commentator, radio host, entrepreneur, and television producer. Glenn Beck donated significant amounts of money to begin OUR. And then Tim Ballard and Glenn Beck formed the defendant company Nazarene Fund to fight Christian causes across the globe. And Beck gave Ballard almost unlimited access to Glenn's media network, which further contributed to Ballard's credibility. Now, I don't know what I'm allowed to share from a friend, an informant of mine, but I could go grab it. It's a stack of papers right over there about that thick of when Glenn Beck and Tim Ballard would sit down potential donors in a room and say, we're starting this thing called the Nazarene Fund. The Nazarene Fund was supposed to be like OUR, but in the Middle East, to save Christians from, terrorists in the Middle East that are moving in on them. Completely. I mean, if you think that OUR is out of its mind thinking it can achieve the goals that it wants to set out with the tactics that it employs, the Nazarene Fund is that, and on a global scale. And the documents, I need to get permission to be able to read this one day. It is the funniest. The only way I can describe just this incompetence of trying to ask donors with all of these documents of what we're going to do, why you should donate to us. The only thing I can compare it to is like if you got pulled over and it's like license and registration, please. And you're just like, is this coupon for Chuck E. Cheese okay? 79, Beck, along with Attorney General Reyes, who should have been looking at arresting and prosecuting Tim Ballard after the sexual assaults and fundraising being thrown upon the citizens of the state of Utah by Tim Ballard, became a fixer for Tim Ballard when the extent of his sexual depravity became known to the Mormon Church. So this is fascinating. This is an actual email from Glenn Beck to Tim Ballard dated Saturday, September 16th. And if you remember, I think the date is September 15th when Tim Ballard is out there screaming and having his hissy fit that he's being denounced by the Mormon Church. This couldn't be happening. You think they're going to give this statement to Vice News? Why would they talk to Vice News? Those pedophiles, I need to get some answers. Tim Ballard's like, I called my bishop, my stake president. They don't even know. And so this is kind of what was going on in the inside during that exact time. Glenn Beck wrote, Tim, I have spoken to Elder Anderson, who is out of the country. That's an apostle for the church. Mike Lee, that's a politician in Utah, a few times, and Sean Reyes today. First, Elder Anderson did not have any information that was new as he had been out of the country. He said he knew that it was urgent and would be talking to some of the brethren and would get back to me this week. He indicated that the language of betrayal was disturbing, but he knew very little beyond this. He was concerned about you as well as the church and promised to get back to me as soon as he heard anything. He did urge caution for everyone until we know more from the church authorities. I urged him that time was of the essence. He understood and said he would do all he could from where he was. And if you remember again, I woke up that morning, which was probably this exact day when Glenn Beck is out there on Twitter being like, is this what we do now? Is this who we are? Is this what we represent? My LDS church. I didn't know we just denounce people and have like a public excommunication like this. That denouncement was the day that everybody was saying like, what in the world like did Tim Ballard do to be denounced by the LDS church so strongly, to say that he had done something that is morally reprehensible and betrayed his friendship with M. Russell Ballard. And that's why this is my life cause, to expose fraudulent men, you know. Second, I spoke to Mike and Sean several times today. I feel strongly that we keep our powder dry, in all caps, until we know exactly what is happening with the church. Any false or inaccurate statements or speculation from anyone on your side, Tim, again, any, will prove deadly to the cause of justice. I believe you should speak to Sean and Mike about an attorney outside of Utah with no Mormon ties to avoid conflict, that can soft pitch the idea that you were asking for the church to be clear and go through the usual church court process. That is disturbing that you found out about this the same time everyone else did. I don't really buy that. Does anyone buy that? Oh man, I love this part. One of the things that you love about our faith is that the Lord's house is a house of order. So you welcome the order to return so you may continue as a saint in good standing, which I currently am. They and you should deny any lies that are being spread. But be careful here. Don't think it is a coincidence that you have been seriously considering a run for Senate as these accusations come forward. You pray that your family and the church are protected from secret combinations that wish our faith and our country harm. Again, be careful here. A soft statement should be made Monday as we have proof what happened within the church. When you have the truth, when Sean has the proof of what he needs, Mike has what evidence he needs to prove anything political.
Please accept this kickback as a token of our esteem.
Thank you, Fat Tony. However, in the future, I would prefer a nondescript briefcase to the sack with a $sign on it.
Mike has what evidence he needs to prove anything political. I might consider a credible investigator. This very well may be the first shot across the bow to let us all know Satan has the unrighteous placed in all high places. He is literally saying that our church is corrupt and they did this to you because they are controlled by Satan. Wow, fascinating admission. We need to be very strategical about any moves from here. We are playing chess now. The days behind us, I fear, will soon feel like we are playing Candyland. You have known the importance of your calling. The gates of hell have opened over and over for you, Kathleen, and the family. I thought his wife's name is Catherine. Glenn, can you be a fixer and fix that? Do you not know his wife's name? Or is that one of his other spiritual wives that he was apparently married to in a past life, says his psychic, Janet Russin.
It's fiction. We made it up. We made this one up. It's a made-up tale.
Know that God loves you and is with you. Let him be your sword and shield. He is not unaware of your plight. Yeah, I think God is quite aware of Tim Ballard's plight, and he wants nothing to do with it. If the days in which we lived are indeed what we think they are, the Lord will clean out his house first. Ooh, Glenn Beck, one of the most famous Mormons in the entire world, just said that Satan places people in high positions of leadership within the church, and when he comes back, he's going to be cleaning people out. Psh, psh, psh. Let us love all of those that hate and persecute us. Let us not intimidate victims of our crimes. I would love if he would have said that. Maybe we all will be on our knees for you. May we all be on our knees for you. And I mean, that is what Tim Ballard wanted. And your family, as well as those brothers and sisters that are lost in darkness. Glenn Beck, if you want something you've never had, you will need to do something that you've never done. Want something? Integrity. Do something you never done? Exercise it. Since learning of Ballard's implementation of the couple's ruse, Glenn Beck called it, quote, really bad stuff, and feels duped by Ballard. Tim Ballard became friends with Tony Robbins, an American author, coach, and speaker who raised staggering amounts of money for Ballard. And it says here that documentaries were made by Tim Ballard and OUR, and that, oh, look who it is, associate producer, Sean Reyes. He wasn't really doing attorney general stuff anyway, so he just like picked up production roles. He's just like a gaffer on the set for Sound of Freedom, I think, definitely was not benefiting whatsoever from promoting the movie as a producer. Not my attorney general, not in my state. One Utah artist painted pictures of Ballard and his wife, again enhancing the credibility of Ballard to an almost Mother Teresa altitude. And there's that picture of them carrying children across the train tracks. $52.93 million in 2021 and $56.773 million in 2022. Holy crap. The results unproven. The aftercare non-existent. Former OUR employees saying, what's like our plan for aftercare? Didn't exist. I have so many videos of Tim Ballard actually lying about like, yeah, and we bought this house right here, so this will be a permanent facility for the aftercare of the children that we saved here in this Guatemalan city. 0.0 evidence for any of that. He talks a big game. He gets a lot of money, but that is funneled to him, his friends, so that you can, as we remember, take women that the time is right. Gotta strike while the iron's hot. I've groomed her enough. Let's plan a mission to Mexico City, and I'll finally get some time away from my wife and see how far she's willing to go to save the kids. Like Tim Ballard's salary, $525,000. Former employees claim that Ballard earned over $14 million, though, through his for-profit companies, some of which were funneled from the nonprofit entity. That is, again, huge. That is very illegal, but again, it was very strategically laid out in Tim Ballard's whiteboard in 2019. There's so much proof of like that fact alone. So wherever this information is being gathered from different inside sources that are putting it together in this lawsuit, like we know for a verifiable fact that Tim Ballard drew this whiteboard in 2019 in Paul Hutchinson's house to explain what his overall plan was to funnel money from his sizzle, his nonprofit entities into for-profit entities that he could then rake in $14 million. And then this whole entire section right here has more details about the couple's ruse, which I won't get into right now because I could spend just 5 hours talking about this in depth. But this is an interesting addition. In number 102, OUR's president, Matt Osborne, and others from OUR also participated in the couple's ruse. So I asked my Instagram audience a couple weeks ago, what do you guys want to know? Were other people besides Tim Ballard doing the couple's ruse as well? And I asked all my informants, I asked everybody I knew, and everyone said, we have no idea. There's no way to confirm that. This is really interesting. So this says that other people were participating in the couple's ruse with escorts in a 5-star Mexico City hotel. This is a text, it looks like, to Matt Osborne that says, this is Matt O up in the room if you need anything. Do you have the Wi-Fi password? Sorry. And he's like, I'll be in soon. Is that okay? Would you rather be with her alone? What's working best? Give me 20 more minutes, please. He paid for the whole night and he hasn't even gotten it up yet. But is that really, are we serious that they literally are taking escorts on the OUR's money? Something that has been so promoted by the Mormon Church that the Mormon Church allowed Tim Ballard to just, they handed over their records of their most wealthy donors who were giving that money, not so that, who were giving that money in the first place as out of commandment, out of faith, and then that is used to take advantage of them further so that they can be exploited and have that money not go to the apparent good cause they were thinking it was going to, but paying for prostitutes.
It looks an awful lot like that, doesn't it?
For the affairs, at least 8, I guess, of women who've participated in this couple's ruse and felt completely violated. And when they kind of have a cry for help and they're asking Tim Ballard, are you sure this is okay? He says, yep, the Emerson Ballard, we are tight besties. And he said, this is all approved. And I'll get to that statement in a second. But then when it comes to, again, Attorney General Sean Reyes apparently saying the highest law enforcement officer in Utah validated that the couple's ruse was a legitimate law enforcement tactic. Tim silencing these women in the first place and then encouraging them to continue with something as if he stands in a position of authority to say you should be comfortable with it, even though you're feeling uncomfortable with it. That is the most insane gaslighting, disgusting manipulation of power I have read so far this minute. Ballard also frequented strip clubs in the Salt Lake Valley with these women to practice the couple's ruse. A lot of stuff about the couple's ruse that I won't repeat here. So much spiritual manipulation going on. Like it says here on number 38, many of these ops included wealthy men with no military training who wanted an experience vacation where they dropped into third world countries to rescue trafficked children with photo opportunities and stories in local newspapers of their heroics, all while flying first class.
And anyone listening, how dare you or anybody dictate to a child, because it's easier to, you're not going to hurt me. To a child, you're going to tell that child what kind of rescue they need. And if it doesn't fit into the worldview that you have, then I guess they're better off not being rescued.
Again, my informant has told me that to Tim, there's a big difference between the people that he wanted to be like, the level that they're at. A lot of this has to do with jealousy of very rich people. And one of those people is Paul Hutchinson. And like I said, this triangulation. So follow this channel for more as I delve into the motivations. But you need to understand that Tim Ballard, whatever his motivation started as, even if they were good at the very beginning, definitely got corrupted along the way because of the types of operations that they were running. And Paul Hutchinson, who's this ex-Mormon, he's able to live a fun, high life, and he gets to just like party it up. Tim Ballard has to go back to just like sleeping in the regular hotel room, while the other people who are playing operatives, they get to live, you know, in the United States, and when they're traveling, they get to party it up, right? Paul Hutchinson, who that famous Vice article was written about, him touching the breasts of underage trafficking victims. And Tim Ballard is put in the situation where his friends and people, and he's away from his wife, that after time, he wanted to be able to experience the things that they got to experience. And a lot of this whole entire couple's ruse was a means to the end. He wanted to make a ton of money really quickly, and him and his friends, this is not speculation, this is what my informant has told me that's close to the situation, the best way that they figured out and they agreed on is the best way to make a lot of money really quickly is profiting off of saying that you're the person who can help save sex trafficking. And what guy doesn't want to write a check to be a hero? And you have a mother, wife, daughter, you feel like a douche if you don't write this guy a check. So he was able to get very wealthy very fast. All other interests were like side projects. That's why the whiteboard meeting from 2019 at Paul Hutchinson's house, the Sound of Freedom movie, and OUR itself, those nonprofit or for-profit ventures, there's sizzle to add to the overall revenue that Tim Ballard was looking to accumulate. And then on top of that, he wants to live the life that Paul Hutchinson gets to live. These ops were a fundraising machine, though they were more show than substance, and the entire OUR enterprises were funded by donors for these ops, many of whom held bake sales and literally donated their widow's mite to OUR and Tim Ballard. And then it says, this is what's really interesting, because I've always kind of wanted more information about how everything went down with OUR. And I have on a good source that, you know, all the people at OUR, the people who run these for-profit, nonprofit entities are all friends and family members of Tim Ballard who have his back. And that's where it gets really sick and twisted, that OUR that claims that it stands up for sexually exploited people when it's going on within their own company, how they treat it is very telling about what their actual motivations are as apparently an anti-exploitation trafficking organization. We paid you to do that. Didn't we pay you to do that thing? It's time to do the thing that we paid you to do. OUR terminated Tim Ballard. OUR's board of directors, most of whom are related to Tim Ballard or are his good friends, opposed the firing and came to Ballard's aid. They want the gravy train to never stop choo-chooing in their direction. A joint plan was hatched between OUR and Ballard, whereby he would resign ostensibly because of the appearance of a conflict of interest with the release of Sound of Freedom. The real conflict of interest for Tim Ballard is like his interest in being seen as somebody who saves women and children from exploitation, and his other interest of being somebody who exploits women and children. That's the real conflict of interest there. As part of the plan, everyone was required to sign an NDA. With his image intact, Ballard began the Spear Fund, where he is able to continue raising money from well-intentioned people wanting to end human trafficking. OUR remained silent, using his face and worldwide opening tour of Sound of Freedom to raise money and allowing Ballard to continue his grooming, drinking, and sexual deviancy, all on the donor's dime. Okay, so that's it. That is okay. Okay, here's another huge one. 146. After all of this, an internal, external investigation verifies these women's claims of the sexual ruse. And everything that is in this document, I'm sure, is the same story that they told when this investigation was going down at OUR. You read those stories of what these women went through that are horrific, right? OUR stays silent, and they need Tim to go around the world to promote the Sound of Freedom. And he is using Operation Underground Railroad's budget to do these things. And it says, allowing Ballard to continue his grooming, drinking, and sexual deviancy, all on the donor's dime. Do you need an intervention? This is psychopath behavior from everybody. Everybody at OUR, I absolutely hope, gets raked over the coals for this type of irresponsible, abusive behavior when they purport that they're doing the opposite. Rather than turn Ballard into the police for his criminal conduct, OUR paid Ballard $618,000 and gave him a Jeep Grand Cherokee to resign from OUR. What would you do for $618,000 on a Jeep Grand Cherokee car? Tim Ballard has lied his ass off about this. He's like, whatever. I was like planning on resigning for a long time. I just got my fingers in too many different pots, you know.
Giveaway. Charles, thank you very much. Giveaway.
He's like, whatever. It was my plan all along. Upon belief and suspicion, Ballard was given full discretion to the content of his resignation letter, was given editorial discretion over OUR's statement about his departure, a consulting agreement to continue working with OUR by paying money from OUR. Okay. This is insane. A consulting agreement. He's still completely in charge of OUR is what this is saying. That he's still like got a consulting contract, that he is removed as the head of this just to like keep the women happy. Because they said, the women are like, we didn't want to cause all this trauma. We didn't want to cause all women are like, we don't want to cause all this drama. We just wanted to have justice and get him out of doing this to any more women, get him out of doing this OUR. OUR knows this is all going on, and they give him a ton of money to resign when he should actually be brought up on some type of criminal charges. Tim Ballard, the evidence is absolutely clear that there are many crimes that Tim Ballard committed, from fraud and different types of sexual assault, without a doubt. And OUR, they just like remove him figuratively speaking, but they give him the money. They give him that widow's mite. They give him a consulting contract so that when he starts his new venture to do the same thing, the money from OUR that is like, that's still my money. I'm sure he's arguing. He's like, that's still my money. Give me my money. I'll set up my own, entity over here, but you better give me a consulting contract so that that money still funnels over here. I'm sure the women just loved that. That's like really justice for, people who have been sexually exploited. I'm sure that you guys like really stood up for victims. Good job, OUR.
Let's just say it moved me to a bigger house. Oops, I said the quiet part loud and the loud part quiet. Oh, dear.
And then finally on number 151, a good reference to the fact that the Mormon Church excommunicated Tim Ballard.
I did all those things. I was blessed to be part of that and do those things. But I'm still the bad guy in the story. And that's the headline.
I almost feel like I have no questions. I see the full picture that is painted here. There are also a lot of people on this lawsuit that are going to be in big, big, big trouble. So please remember the name Sean Reyes, Attorney General. I do not want you to think that this is just the Tim Ballard shit show. The Sean Reyes shit show, I hope with, my help through my content and other people who I've been talking to, that Sean Reyes, the Attorney General Sean Reyes also deserves a very high level of scrutiny. That the Attorney General himself has done so many other things that I can't talk about right now, but I am hoping that Sean Reyes is equally, if not more corrupt than Tim Ballard from the things that I know right now. And I don't even know everything Tim Ballard and Sean Reyes are very interconnected. And, me as a Utah resident, me as a person who cares about justice, Tim Ballard is absolutely going to be going down in flames. And I hope that these victims and these women and this married couple, people who are trying to take Tim Ballard to court to get some justice, that everybody will be held accountable at OUR. All my links are down in the description below for my email if you want to contact me or just be like, I love you. Here's a boatload of cash. And still looking for more monthly reoccurring donors because that is the way that your girl stays sustainable. And I'm also looking for a new studio soon because I only have a few more days left in this one. And I literally do not know where to go. So please check out my links to support me on DonorBox or subscribe to my Patreon, which right now is free. So you can just go check out the butt buffet that's over there completely consensually. And it's only free for the next couple of weeks. So being in this space sometimes is very, very, very difficult. And if it wasn't for me just feeling so much support from you guys, I don't know what I would do if I would be able to actually stay in this space because it's tough. And especially the things that I'm going to be doing and saying about Sean Reyes, I've had to take a lot of reflection if it's going to be worth it. Because I know now what he has literally done to people that are his enemies out there in the world, of which I could be making myself one. So make sure you're subscribed. Don't just let the like button pass you by. The bell that puts on the notifications for when I drop new videos, you're not going to want to be left out, be the last one to know when my fabulous documentaries come out. Isn't your voice completely going out right now? Yes. Is the sun coming up right here? That's neither here nor there. Hera, are you teaching any classes about applying work-life balance? No, because I'm not a hypocrite. I don't have it and I don't teach it. All right. That's it for me today. Love you so much. Bye. All right. Russell Ballard is a Mormon church guy. He is really old and he's probably senile. Nobody understands why he is so dumb to think Tim Ballard could have a couple's ruse not for fun. Nah, the couple's ruse wasn't for fun. Yeehaw.